We discuss the connection between nutrition and emotional intelligence, and as part of behavioral health awareness, we discuss overcoming the stigma of mental health. Plus, we get an insight on the resurgence of Atlantic City. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger, Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world, and South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. What's the link between emotional intelligence and good nutrition? Well, that's exactly what our next guests are here to talk about. Joining me are Inez and Julie. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to start with an introduction. If you could introduce yourself and the business you represent.
My name is Julie Palumbo, and I am a health coach, and I own the business Best Whole Self.
And I'm Inez Barberio. I own Core Growth Strategies, where I teach emotional intelligence and design workshops.
So the two of you came together and you're working together on this venture. Let's talk about what is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
How do you describe that?
Well, emotional intelligence comprises of self-awareness, awareness of others, self-regulation, empathy, compassion. So all of that affects every single aspect of our lives, which includes relationships, health and wellness, career-wise, financial-wise. And health and wellness is a large proponent of emotional intelligence, which is why Julie and I teamed up together.
So Julie, what's the good nutrition aspect of this?
Sure. So a lot of what we do in life is based out of habit. And if we don't have the awareness, which is a component of emotional intelligence, we're not going to stay on a healthy track. So when we think about emotional intelligence and wellness, it's more about lifestyle change versus diet, or putting healthy foods into our body to fuel us to the best of our ability, rather than thinking of it as a sacrifice that we're making if we're eating a salad instead of a burger.
So it's not a diet per se.
Right.
I guess you got to change your whole outlook in terms of your lifestyle and making sure you're eating the right foods.
Exactly. And once you apply that, your body tends to just perform better. You're thinking more clearly. You're having more energy naturally. So that would prevent you from making irrational decisions in your life, as Inez said, at work, in finances, in relationships. How many times are you hungry and maybe lash out at someone because you can't think properly because you're hungry? So by combining a proper nutrition and emotional intelligence, we're able to fully connect the dots of being well-rounded and a well person emotionally and physically.
So how do you get this word out, right? And how do you educate people? You need to eat healthy to feel good, to be good, and just to have a better lifestyle. How do you get that message across?
Well, we designed a program called the New Learning Workshop, where NEW is an acronym for nutrition, emotional intelligence, and well-being. And we have been proposing it to different schools, and we're starting it at the Boys and Girls Club actually on October 18th to teach children and get them involved and have them build a strong foundation on what emotional intelligence is, tips on how they can utilize it in their everyday life, and great nutritional exercises and regular exercise for them as well.
Yeah, some people, when they're not feeling all that great, they turn to food as the crutch, right?
Exactly.
And sometimes they're feeling the same symptoms that they're having, correct?
Yes, and to tap into your emotional intelligence is a great part of the lifestyle change, because maybe it allows you to reflect on, why am I eating a certain food? Is it because I'm stressed? And if I'm stressed, why am I stressed? What are my triggers? And what else can I do to manage that stress that doesn't involve food or drink? So it's a very holistic approach to well-being. And as Inez said, we're working with students because we really do believe that it starts young. And it's all about starting a habit at a young age and then carrying it through our adulthood.
And hopefully it carries to the parents. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue this discussion. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion as we continue our discussion on the importance of good nutrition as a contributor to emotional intelligence. I'm here with Inez and Julie, and we were just talking about you reaching out to the youth. And I have a test case for you. My son, very picky eater. How do you get kids? How do you get this message to the kids?
Well, I think the first thing to do is get them involved in the process of eating well. Have them help you pack their lunch. Have them help you cook dinner, so that they see how everything is going in motion, and it almost becomes a fun activity instead of just food for them. They see the whole process almost like an arts and craft experiment.
And I know growing up in Latinos families and Italian family, it's a cultural thing. You do reward with food,
Right.
and eating a nice meal. And how does that impact long term?
Well, it impacts the long term because it buries into your subconscious. So what happens is when we're rewarding children, for instance, with food, with ice cream, with, oh, if you do well, I'll take you to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal or something like that. They instinctively, as they get older, if something is bothering them emotionally, they're going to go and reach out for those bad foods only because they remember how it made them feel good. So we as adults need to change that habit ourselves.
Yeah, it's a hard message, but and it's probably harder for the parents themselves than it is some of the kids. But now, how are you formatting this program to reach the Boys and Girls Club and other organizations such as schools?
Well, we're customizing each workshop based on the age group of the students and what the schools feel is most necessary to address. Some schools feel like it may be more to tap into the nutrition and emotional intelligence aspect. Bullying is a big issue that we have been discussing with schools and bringing that into the conversation, both with the students and at home with the parents.
And we do see a big problem nationwide in terms of obesity in young kids at a very early age. So how soon do you get kids involved with this message, with that training that they need to eat healthy?
Preschool. As they start as young as you can. Start teaching them how to eat healthy. Make it fun for them. Don't make it sound like it's a punishment. And we need to stop rewarding children with sweets, and because that's just going to be a downfall later on in life.
So this is great information, ladies. But if someone wanted to get in touch with you and get more information, how should they reach you?
Well, we each have our personal websites, and also for more information on the new learning workshop, it's newlearning@gmail.com, and you can email us and we'll be getting right back to you.
So if someone's interested in setting up a workshop, either a school or your church, they could
absolutely,
you can make that happen.
Exactly, yes. We'd be more than happy to help.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
you.
And thank you for joining us. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. Each year, millions face the reality of living with a mental health condition. Despite the prevalence of mental health illness, there's still a stigma and misunderstanding of mental health. Joining me to discuss this further is Mary Jennings with Blessing Ways Behavioral Health. Mary, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, which means I can treat, do therapy, and prescribe. I founded Blessing's Way and I am the CEO because I really care about, people's mental state.
And we certainly need more providers in our communities, and certainly folks that maybe don't have the access to get the mental health services that they need. Let's talk about what are typical signs of mental health illness.
Well, if you have anyone in your family who have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, just every day they're just tired, they're worn out, they come home from work, first thing they do, they go in the fridge, pop a beer, and just kind of sit on the sofa or something like that. A lot of times they're self-medicating. With the children, and they're definitely self-medicating with the heroin, the opioid crisis, and things of that nature. Most of them that I have talked to were either had bipolar disorder, or they had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or they had post-traumatic stress disorder, which, you generally didn't see that now unless someone went to war. But now, because there is so much PTSD, I do ACE study, which is the Adverse Childhood Experience Study. I need to know, how was your childhood? How was your childhood based on how your parents treated you?
So a lot of this goes undiagnosed and untreated because the stigma, right, associated, particularly within the African American, Latino communities, the big stigma that prevails. What advice do you give to anyone that maybe feels something isn't right, or they think their loved one is not feeling right? What should they do?
Well, they really need to see a psychiatrist or psychologist. I know in our community, normally they say, go to church and pray. Pray it off. It's gonna be okay. God will take care of it. But it doesn't always end up that way, and people have suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts, and these are the things we don't want their mental state to escalate to. We try to teach them how to self-soothe. Again, I wanted them to find something that makes them happy. So, if it's crocheting, dancing, going to the movie, bike riding.
Being involved in activities is very critical.
Find something outside the house.
So obviously mental health does not discriminate against race, gender. It's an equal opportunity in terms of an illness for anyone, particularly the kids. If you have a child, how do you tell whether or not he's in need of professional help, perhaps diagnosed for mental illness?
Most of the time you don't. See, we as parents tell the kids they're the best thing that ever hit planet Earth. The teachers let us know they're not the best thing that hit planet Earth. So a lot of times around second grade, the teacher will notice that this child has this fight, flight, or freeze type state, which means their anxiety is up, or maybe they have ADHD and attentive type, opposed to the hyperactivity type.
And bottom line is, if you see something wrong, it's not a bad idea to see the doctor and certainly look to see a psychiatrist.
Absolutely. 1 in 5 Americans have a mental illness. That's according to NAMI.
Wow, that's big numbers. Thank you so much. And we'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. This summer was very significant for Atlantic City, and joining us to discuss why and what's ahead for the city is Councilman Kaleem Shabazz. Councilman, welcome back to Latino Motion.
Thank you, Bert, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Now, very critical summer, summer of 2018. Tell me why it was so important for the city.
This was very important and critical summer, Bert. As you know, unfortunately, in the last year and a half, we lost 5 casinos, numerous jobs. We shot to the top of the country in terms of foreclosures and people losing their homes. So this was a very, very critical era. Atlantic City was taken over by the state because of our financial situation, and people's spirits were down, and our financial situation was bleak. Fortunately, Hard Rock Casino International stepped to the plate, took over a dormant facility, pumped in $500 million to refurbish that, and that has become the Hard Rock property in Atlantic City, an exciting, dynamic property for not only entertainment and gambling, but for other kinds of activities. And that has shot us ahead along with Ocean Casino.
Not only one, yeah, you just mentioned that it's not just one casino. There's the opening of the second casino. Tell me about that.
Well, Ocean Casino took over another abandoned property, and they put in about $100 million, refurbished that, made a connection with Hyatt in terms of hotel reservations and rooms, and they are off and running. And we are very excited about the number of jobs coming back, about the private investment in the casino industry coming back, and that's really helping power Atlantic City.
So obviously there was a nerve-wracking somewhat to see how successful these properties would be this summer, not only bringing the 2 additional online, but also the rest of the casinos that were already here in the city. So what's your prognosis? How did we make out?
Well, Atlantic City had a phenomenal summer. We had not only the 2 casinos, which were new attractions, different attractions, we had a 22-story Ferris wheel on the Steel Pier, which attracted a lot of visitors and a lot of local residents and helped round out the facilities that we want to present in Atlantic City as a total recreational destination for people to come to. And I'm also happy to announce that Stockton University has come back to Atlantic City, and that's a very interesting story because almost 40 years ago when Stockton was born, they started Atlantic City, and now they're back. And that's a very exciting $200 million project along with South Jersey Industries, which is going to have a office complex and a garage for their employees. So we're excited about that. Also, there's a 250
Just before you get off of the college coming back, I mean, you also have all the students. They opened up in September.
Oh yeah, they're right on the dormitory.
And the students are right there contributing to the economy of the city as well. So that's very, very important.
Well, more than that, Bert, we have 553 students who are on the campus. Some of the best dorms, I guess, in the country because they are right on the boardwalk, right next to the ocean. But more importantly, there's a waiting list of about 1,000 students. I understand they had an open house and they had over 1,000 people who came to the open house.
What was that beach when we were going to college? And we have it right here in New Jersey, so it's a great thing.
It's a super thing, Bert, and Stockton is going to be very, very successful. It's already picking up the Chelsea area, and it's just going to expand.
We want to continue this discussion. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back. We'll continue our discussion with Atlantic City Councilman Kaleem Shabazz, and the economic picture of Atlantic City is looking very good with the 2 new casinos, but we have a lot more to talk about. Tell me about some of these other developments that are taking place.
Bert, we are very happy and excited because the casinos obviously represent private development, and we have some more private development that's coming online. About 40 years ago in Atlantic City, Pauline Hill was the head of the redevelopment agency. She, with a project that she envisioned, she tore down rooming houses and stores and restaurants in the area that we call the Inlet. That has laid fallow for 40 years. Now a gentleman named Wasim Boré, who is a New Jersey developer, has come in with private capital. He's building, as we speak, a 250-unit market rent apartment that is going to turn that area around in the Inlet. In fact, that's very near Ocean and Hard Rock, so we are excited about that.
That's right around the Garden Pier?
Exactly, exactly. In that same area, and that area is really blossoming. Bart Blastine, another developer, came in and gave us the showboat he bought for $20 million and refurbished that. So that area is coming alive. Also, we have a group of young entrepreneurs who've opened 4 new businesses on Tennessee Avenue. Again, private development. And we are excited about that because that area is developing. There's a gentleman out of Asbury Park who is a medium-sized developer. He's done restaurants in Asbury Park. He's developed a nightclub in Atlantic City right across from Tennessee Avenue. He's going to do hotels and rooming houses. So we're excited that the areas of development are spreading. Chelsea for Stockton, the Inlet for the housing, Tennessee Avenue in the middle of the city for the businesses and the nightclubs. So that's the way Atlantic City is going to develop.
And do you foresee, with those new businesses coming in, the Stockton students coming into the city, other folks taking that opportunity to develop right there in the college district?
Oh, absolutely. I happen to be the chairman of the Planning and Development Committee.
Oh, okay.
So we see a lot of projects. And in fact, I just left a meeting for a company that wants to come in. It's going to make a major announcement and develop, again, private capital. And the city, we are letting people know that Atlantic City is open for business. We're business friendly.
How are you doing that? How are you letting people know that we're open for business?
We have a website. We're going around the state talking to people. The council president and myself are letting developers know that if they come to Atlantic City, they can be one-stop shopping. We're happy to announce the CRDA office is going to move to the city of Atlantic City in City Hall, so people won't have to go around to get their permits and their approvals. And we're going to, as much as possible, streamline the development process so people can be more efficient in getting their project from vision to implementation.
You mentioned CDRA. Are they still an active part of the growth of Atlantic City?
I'm happy to report that the CRDA is working very cooperatively with us. Our council committee and the city council in Atlantic City is the redevelopment arm by law of Atlantic City, and we're leading that charge. We're meeting on a monthly basis with CRDA to develop plans, and we have in about the next 90 to 120 days 3 major brick and mortar projects that we're going to be announcing in Atlantic City.
The key is collaboration. So
collaboration, partnership, cohesion, and that's the way Atlantic City is going to develop.
So very good news, and thank you for coming on the show and sharing this information with our audience. That's all the time we have, unfortunately, and thank you for joining us once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment. Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.